Hey guys. Well, guys, today I got another Beth Avenue story for you. I've been writing a lot of things down, and I got a lot of new stories I'm going to come out with. Okay, all my old stories are going into archives, and if you want to watch them, you're going to have to pay $4.99 to see them again. You won't be seeing them no more after today. Okay, so you can do that. Subscribe to my channel, press the like button, support me, and I'll continue to keep on giving you stories. You know, I have a life, I have a family, I work, and I do this YouTube. I want to give you more content, but I need you to hit that like button, and I need you to subscribe to my channel. So today I'm going to be talking about this guy. That's Gene Gotti. Gene Gotti was a captain in the Gambino crime family. He's John Gotti's brother. He was a wise guy, and he took a plea of 50 years for a drug case. Back in the day, if you got caught with drugs, I don't think there was no pleading out. You had to go to trial. But or Gene did go to trial. He might have went to trial. I'm not sure what he did. I have to look into that. But meeting Gene Gotti when I first met him. Now, when I was doing prison time, I grew up respecting all of these wise guys. 100%. I had respect for all of them. And if I seen a wise guy, whether you were in the Genovese family, the Gambino family, Lucchese family, Bonanno family, Colombo family, I respected you. That's the way I was brought up and groomed to respect wise guys and show them favor. So when I met Gene Gotti, you know, Gene just came from Loretto or some other prison, in federal prison, and he comes in, and as soon as I met him, I was very respectful for him. I asked him, I said, Gene, what do you need? What can I do for you? And I wasn't selling with nobody at the time. So right away, I said, you know what? There's a bunk. I gave him the bottom bunk. I was respectful. Before that, before Gene came into my cell, I was selling with a guy by the name of Mike the Head. Mike the Head was a Bonanno wise guy from my neighborhood. He wasn't strained out. He was getting ready to get strained out, and then he got pinched. But I was selling with him for a little while. And as I was selling with him, he also had the bottom bunk. He had a stroke. So I wake up one morning and I go to shake him and he can't talk. And right away I said to myself, I said, you know what, there's something wrong. I ran out, I got myself a CO. I told him, officer, you got to come up. There's something wrong with this guy. And they got a stretcher, they put him on a stretcher and they shipped him out of here. And he wasn't doing too much time. He had maybe another 8 months left or something, but he made it home and he survived that day. And when I got home, I actually went to his daughter's wedding, Lisa, and I was sitting at the table with him and we reminisced about the time we spent together in McKean and the fun times we had. Because when you do prison time and you make friends with decent people, your time does go by very quicker. So, yeah, there was a lot of good times in prison I had. Absolutely, 100%. Met a lot of good people. Would I want to go back there? Absolutely not. So Mike the Head goes home. and Gene Gotti comes in. Gene Gotti comes in. I hook him up. I give him a bottom bunk in my cell, and I start working out with him. Me and Gene, we start working out, and I had some other kids in there too. I had a kid Turbo in there, uh, some other white kids from the Midwest I was working out with. So I make them come work out with us too, and we have a good time. We're working out. You walk the track, you get into your program, you get into a routine. Now, all of a sudden, Gene is talking to me. We're in the cell. And when you're selling with a wise guy, eventually you're going to talk about the street, crimes you committed, who you know on the street, the neighborhood you come from. So Gene starts asking me questions about Anthony Spero. He goes, "You know what, Jimmy? I never met Anthony Spero. How is he?" So me, right off the bat, I go, "You know what? Anthony Spero was always a good guy." Now, this is a time when I know Anthony Spero had something to do with killing Paulie Galino, but I'm never ever gonna give anyone my real feedback of what's on my mind. Never ever do that with a wise guy unless you're very close with him. But I would not recommend that because what these wise guys do is they try to pick your brain. Okay, so Gene's asking me questions about Anthony Spero. I said, "You know what? Anthony Spero's a great guy from the neighborhood." He said, "Jimmy, I never met him." I said, "Yeah, he's a really good guy." And then he started to talk about Joe Messina. Okay, how he's good friends with Joe Messina. And he's asking me, "What are you looking to do when you get out? Are you looking to get made?" I mean, these conversations with these wise guys are typical. These are everyday conversations. And I said, "Gene, I said, you know what? I'm really not sure what I want to do. I have a girl waiting for me." At that time, it was Lori. I was doing 6 years in prison. And I celled with Gene. Gene ends up helping me get Russo's on the Bay. I sit down with them, but I end up getting picked up again within 11 months of after I got released. So he's asking me about Spero, and he's trying to manipulate me into like talking bad about Anthony Spero. And then he mentions Joe Benanti. He said, "Yeah, I heard about Joe Benanti. Joe Benanti, when he drinks, uh, he gets very vicious and stuff like that." I said, "That's not true." I said, "Joe Benanti, he's a decent guy too. A little out there every so often, but he's a decent guy." But what I'm saying is that these wise guys, okay, right away, they want to know what your intentions are. You're looking to get straightened out, you know? And this was a time when also I had an argument with Gene. Okay. After we had an argument, me and Joe Gambino gets in front of me and Gene, and he's, you know, making sure nothing happens. No one throws a punch. And I'm telling Gene, I said, "Gene, I don't give a fuck about you. I don't give a fuck about none of you motherfuckers." And that's the attitude I had at the age of 23, 24 years old. So I know how to respect these guys, but I'm never going to kiss anyone's ass. That's just me. And I was always like that. And even one time with Joe Benanti, one time I did a score, and Joe Benanti's telling me in front of Nick's Candy Store, "Jimmy, I wish you would have told me when you did that score. We could have did something with it." And I said some kind of foolish remark as a kid, and he got upset with me, and he jumped down my throat. And I said, "Joe, I said, you know what? I didn't mean it that way." I reached out to Paulie. I came back with Paulie, and Paulie G ended up telling Joe Benanti. He said, "Joe, Jimmy didn't mean it that way." And I told Joe Benanti, I said, "Joe, I'll give you anything you need. Whatever you need, I'll help you." I'm saying, and we did. We did help Joe Benanti. But getting to Gene Gotti, Gene Gotti at the time when I was in prison, he wanted me to bunk heads with other wise guys. So what he did was he tried to use me as a pawn to go against these other wise guys. One of these guys was Patty Della Russo. He tried to make me and Patty Della Russo bunk heads, but I was too clever and smart for him. He didn't know that Mike DeSantis at the time was like a wise guy uncle to me. And I was very dear friends with Manny Madonna. I would call Manny Madonna probably every other day at the Big Geyser in Williamsburg. And I say, Matty, what are you doing? How's everything? And we would laugh. And he, I would tell him what's going on. He said, just do your time. When you come home, you're going to be okay. Don't worry. You come here, you come with me. So by me having Manny Madonna, when I had the argument with Gene Gotti, okay, after I had the argument with him, I called Joe Benante's house one day. I said, Joe, I had an argument with Gene Gotti. And let me tell you, Joe Benante knew about it already. I mean, like 2-3 days go by, he knew about it. So all these wise guys, they all talk. When I had that argument with Gene right away reached out to the street and sent word to Beth Avenue, to Joe Benante and Spero of what took place, of me and Gene's face arguing with him and threatening him. So what he tried to do is he tried to put me in a bad spot. And I knew that Gene was very close with Joe Messina. So my intention was, as soon as I come home, I have to get away from my friends and I have to get away from the Bonanno crime family. And that's what I did. When I got home, I went to go see Manny Madonna. Manny Madonna came with me to go see Spero and Joe Benante. And Spero and Joe Benante released me. They went just like this in front of me. You could have them. And that's when I was on record with Manny Madonna. Manny Madonna went like this. This is not the Bonanno family. This is not the Gambino family. This is not the Genovese family. This is not the Colombo family. You are now on record with the Lucchese crime family. I said, cool. But this is a story I like to share with you people because everyone thinks that this life is so glamorized. At the end, it's all about treachery, betrayal, and deceit. That's what it is. There ain't no loyalty. There ain't no honor. It's all a bunch of bullshit. Any of these guys who, for instance, are wise guys, they had to do something treacherous, deceitful to somebody that they once knew. I hope you enjoyed this story. I'm going to be doing more stories on men, my stories of my life, my friends growing up, redemption, talk about God, talk about true stories, and coming on here more often and chopping it up with you guys. So I hope you enjoyed seeing me. I'll see you again soon. Maybe I'll be on tonight. Maybe I'll be on tomorrow. But I'm going to be coming on more often, okay? I want to interact with you guys. I want to put some more stories out there. And with that said, everyone enjoy your weekend. It's Friday. I love you guys. Until I see you again on my next video. Bye, guys. The streets will never love you back.